Well, hello YouTube. This is a template to determine address blocks and subnets that I created. Let's say that your company purchases from the local ISP an address block of an address of, say, 206.73.118.0/24. And you would like to determine how many hosts do you have available to you. So the simplest way to do this, by the way, your address starts at 206.73.118.0 and it ends at 206.73.118.255. Now if you have a /24, you can, I'm using Excel by the way, and you can type this or you can copy it. Well, this is a video, I don't know if you can copy it, but you can make it yourself, it's easy enough. But you come to the 24 and you type, for subnets you type 1, so for one subnet you get 256 hosts. Now remember too that for the hosts you always have to subtract 2, so that you really get 254 when you're subnetting. Now you want to figure out, if you subnet your space, say a /25, how many subnets and hosts do you get? Now the way to do this is, for subnets you double the first number you had, which was 24. In this case the double in that would be a 2, and then you divide the number of hosts into 2. That gives you 128, and you take away 2, you really get 126 hosts. Now if you have a /26, what you do is you double the number of subnets again, and you end up with 4, and you divide by 2 the number of hosts. So 128 divided by 2 is 64. And the process continues just like that. For subnets, if you go to a /27, it'd be double 4 or 8, and then for 28 it'll be 16, and for 29 it'll be 32, and 30 it'll be 64, and 31 it'll be 128. Now for the hosts, you do the same process of dividing. So 64, half of 64 is 32, and half of 32 is 16, and half of 16 is 8, and then 4, and then 2. So this is a quick way to determine how many subnets and hosts you get given a slash number. So real quick, you can see here that if you get a /29, you're going to have 32 subnets capable of 8 hosts minus 2, so 6. Let's use another example. Let's say now that you have a /19, for instance, and you want to figure out how many subnets and hosts you can accommodate with that. Let me start by making a copy of these. And pasting it below. That way we can do the math. So we want to do a /19, which is right here. So that would assume that these bits are zeros. So there's a /19. So how many subnets and hosts can you accommodate? First thing you do is you copy these numbers. Actually, you cut them and you bring them to 19 and paste them there. Now the hosts you leave where they're at. And what you do is you go on doubling the numbers from the last number you have. In this case is 128. You go on doubling that until you get to the end. So double 128 is 256, and then 512, then 1024, then 2048, then 4096. Okay, and then for the number of hosts you do the same thing. So from 256 you get 512, and then you get 1024, 2048, 4096, and 8192. And there you have it. So for /19, you get one subnet of 8,190 hosts. Now if you want to subdivide or subnet that further, and then say from that space you want to do /22, then you can quickly see that you will get 8 subnets of 1,024 minus 2,022 hosts, and so on and so forth. So /27 in this scenario would give you 256 subnets with 30 hosts each. Okay, now let's look at the binary numbers, and let's look at each octet. We can see that an octet that has all the numbers set to 1, it's equal to 255, and we all know that. Now if you only have, let's look at this octet from 17 to 24. If you only have the first value equal to 1, that equals 128, and the second value equals 64, and the next value equals 32, and so on and so forth. So to get to the value of the octet, you add the ones that have a 1. So in this case, 128 plus 64 plus 32 equals 224. And you should be able to do that math in your head. But if you wanted to get fancy and have the spreadsheet calculator for you, there's an easy way to do that. And this is how. So we start by entering the value of the first one, which is the coefficient, that is. It's 0, and then the next one is 1, and then the next one is 2. And actually we could select all 3 of these and drag it this way. So we have the coefficient of each one of these, 0, 1 through 7. And then the base of the number is 2. So we could use a little formula here and say 2 elevated to the power of what's below, in this case 7, equals 128. You see that? Now we click on that and grab the handle in the corner here and drag it across, and that's gonna give us all the values. You see how that works? Now I'm showing you that because you could have done that in the first example that I showed you. But what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna do a little formula to calculate this number automatically for me. Now we know that, as I said at the beginning, that this value in the 8th position is 2 to the 7th, which is 128. And you go adding these to come up with the dotted decimal notation number. In this case, it's 224. And so what I'm going to do is change the formula that I just made over here to multiply that number times the corresponding number below to give us the value for that number. Now I'm going to again click on it and copy the formula across. And as you're going to see, the numbers that had 1s in them give us a correct value. Now it's just a matter of adding them up to come up with the dotted decimal notation value for this octet. Now to do that, I'm going to click on another cell. You can put it whatever you want. I'm going to put it up here. Type equals, and then sum, S-U-M, and there it comes up. So you double click it, and then you select the numbers you want. And I want all of these. I want them added up, and then click enter. And there you go, that's a 224. Now, if we copy the entire range and paste it over here, it does the same thing for that octet. And if we paste it over here, guess what? You get 255, 255, 224. And if we do it for the last one, 0. Here we have the dotted decimal notation calculate it for us. Now let me stress that you should know how to do this in your head. This is just a way of, I guess, becoming lazy and have it calculated for you. Let's see how it works. Let's change some numbers over here. So let's say we want to make that into a 1. You'll see that's a 240 now. We want to make that into a 1, and now it's 248. You want to change this one into a 1 for /22. Now that's a 252. So when you see 252, you have 8 subnets and 1,022. That's 1,024 hosts minus 2. You can even convert other numbers. Let's go to the last octet and then make this one a 1, and then skip that one and make that one a 1, and then that one is a 1, and here you have a 1, and here you have another 1. And then after I hit enter, we'll see that that's equivalent to 181. Now, I don't want to throw you off. When you're doing subnet masks, you wouldn't have these. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, post them, and I'll try to answer them.